Raise the Roof Production.
Well, you'll never know the heartache of looking a grown man in the eye, and he asks, am I gonna make it? And you've gotta lie. Well, they call me doc, but I ain't got no degree. When shit hits the fan, they're calling for me. From bluegrass Kentucky, with red blood on my hands, nobody calls me hero except for my friends. Yeah, they call me Doc.
Hey guys, there we go. Let's get this right. There it is. Hey y'all, welcome veterans and American patriots to another episode of Sitcom with Doc. I am your host, Rod Doc Waback, United States Navy veteran. Always with me, my co-host, Combat Army Medic, Joe Glenn, and always behind the scenes, our executive producer, Brian Devil Dog Roof. And today is an amazing day for all of us. We've been waiting a long, long time for a very special guy. I got goosebumps on me right now, guys, for this man to be here with us today. Let me welcome to the show Aviation Bos'n mate, United States Navy, Tommy Staton, and his son Dakota, who takes care of him. Hey guys, what a day to have you guys on, man. I'm so geeked up.
Absolute pleasure to be here.
Thanks for being here. Thank you for having the courage to come tell your story. Let's go find a veteran that needs us. And that's what we're here for, brothers. That's what we're here for.
I gotta say, it took me a while to work up the courage to come on here, because I'm not too keen on going out in public much with my issues.
Right.
So, I get to watch y'all show and hang out with veterans, online and in the chat rooms and stuff. That's about all my socialization. So when you said you'd like me to be on the show, I was like, okay, let me work up to this. But it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I absolutely love the docs and your sick call show.
Thanks, Tommy, man. Coming from you, that means a lot to me.
Yeah, for sure.
And I can confirm he does actually watch you guys when you go live and all of that. Like, yeah.
He actually likes us?
Yeah,
Right.
He's actually a fan. You actually have a fan on your podcast.
Hell yeah.
I appreciate that, man.
Well, I'm a huge fan of you, Tommy and Dakota, man.
Oh, yeah.
Huge fan of you guys. I am so happy that we get to share your story, that you guys allowed us to share your story. And I say that from the bottom of my heart. And just like, Doc said, it's been a long time coming for us. We've been the first time we started this, Tommy, you were the name that came out of my mouth right off the get.
First person.
Yes.
Number one.
Really pleased to be able to have you guys here finally. So good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate
it. And Tommy, I've known you a while. Joe's known you a while. We get together on the Veterans Canada community chats.
Mm-hmm.
We talk. I will say this up front before we head anywhere else. For all the things that you go through in a day, I don't know anybody that has your attitude, your kindness, your genuineness, your generosity, your caring of other veterans, brother. You are an inspiration, sir.
Thank you. You're too kind. You're too kind.
It's just the truth, brother.
Yep. That is the truth. He's got a heart of gold.
Yeah.
And there's a lot.
We can see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot to unravel today, brother. And so we're just going to take it easy, and we're just going to talk like we always do on our chats. Okay.
All right.
Like that.
Today is your day to speak on anything you wish to talk about to reach our fellow vets. You can start from childhood to service time, to what happened when you got out, to where you're at today, how cannabis has changed everything for you in such positive ways. Whatever you wish to share, brother, is fine by me, fine by Joe, and it better be fine by everybody else.
Yeah.
All right.
My story's average. Like my childhood was nice. I got to bounce around a lot, see a bunch of different towns growing up. Had the pleasure of growing up with my grandmother, which I relate, my grandmother and my mom was the two people who instilled all the morals and values into me that I still carry today. Like bless my grandma's heart. But once I got into high school, when you're at that age, fast things, loud noises, it's all exhilarating. And I was no different. I love speed, fast cars, loud stuff. And the first time I saw the movie Top Gun, I was like, oh, I want to do that. So you can imagine when I walked into the Navy recruiter's office after my ASVAB test, I was like, hey, I want to be a pilot. And he was like, beautiful, sign right here. So,
yeah. Where's the girl? Where's that girl from the movie?
Right.
I want to meet her.
Once I got in, I was informed that I could never be a pilot because of my eyes. They wouldn't trust me to fly rubber dog shit out of Hong Kong. So I ended up closest I could get was being an aviation Bos'man's mate. And I was sent in after my A school to work on catapults and arresting gear. But I ended up working on catapults. And to be right there, just literally feet away from those things every time they would take off was like, to a 17, 18-year-old kid, that was exhilarating. That was the pinnacle of horsepower. Speed just was thrilling. Let's see. Let me see if I can do this. Man, with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm right here. I got you.
So like I said, that particular movie had me twisted up. That's why I went in. I blame that movie. And I was in Navy ROTC in high school for 4 years, learning all the naval history, all the terminology and everything. That gave me a leg up when I went in. But I got to be with those planes, and it was nice being right there with those jets. I didn't get to work on them or anything, but I got to launch them all day, all night. It was awesome.
Until it wasn't.
Until it wasn't. So
Aircraft carriers was your thing, huh? It was just something that you just knew you wanted to do. You wanted to be aviation something or another, right?
Yep. I just wanted to get as close to those jets as I could then.
That's great. Yeah. And so where did you get, what ship did you get assigned to? What were your days like on the ship? And
it was CVN 71. It was USS Theodore Roosevelt. I worked on waist cap number 4, outside, short and hot and fast. And you literally could never get away from the things. Like our berthing area was in the very front end of the ship. If you look at a picture, there's 2 little round portals right there just under the catapults. Yeah, that's where our berthing area was. So you learn to sleep through launches and the catapult slamming into the water breaks, which shake the berthing area every time. You just learn to sleep right through all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it was, we didn't really get to explore that ship that much. Rosie is a big girl. But we were pretty much, with our job, we had to maintain that catapult 24/7, ready to launch at any minute. That's what we're trained to do.
Yeah, man. Woo.
I remember.
And you had to cross train on every position, from safety, jet blast deflectors, water brakes, recording launches. You had to be able to be cross trained. So if anybody went down, somebody else was always there to step in immediately, so you never had to slow down. You could just keep on going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think I probably spent more time in what we called our green room, our ready room. It was literally just right underneath the catapult there, right there at the jet blast deflectors. That's where we would all get ready, put on our float coats, cranials, ear protection, and everything, get suited up to go up. But that
Is it-
green room, that little tiny room, I would say we all spent more time sleeping in there than we did our actual beds. It just looked
Is it-
like a room for a puppies cuddled up in a puddle.
Yeah,
I got. Go ahead.
is it true that you could be on an aircraft carrier for 4 years and not see every spot on that ship?
Oh God, yes. In my years on her, like I saw a bit of it, but still, you never see all of it. It's amazingly huge.
Just your bit is all you saw, from your
Mm.
birthing to your work to your chow hall to your haircut. To
Pretty
your
much.
gift store. You were just in your zone, right? And that was big enough, right?
Huh.
Oops,
It's
sorry.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's like its own city.
Yeah, we had shops. You know, you go down to the shops, you go in the stores, you could go and buy whatever you needed in the stores. We had, I think, 2 or 3 stores, barber shops, weight rooms where you could go work out. You had 2 different mess halls. Like, she was enormous. You couldn't fathom how big that thing is.
Right.
I know when they said when we were getting ready to head out to the Persian Gulf, we brought all of our squadrons on board. I think we were floating about 10,000 head on board the ship, and there was still so much room. Like you just words can't fathom how big she is.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I remember walking down the pier, going to my first ship as an E nothing. And I'm walking down the pier, and I'm not even looking at big ships. I'm looking at the smallest ship in the Navy, a destroyer, and maybe like a frigate or something. And I was just like,
I got
This is
one
where I'm-
opportunity
this is where I'm
better
going
than
to
that.
live.
Right.
Actually, when we come back from the Gulf, when we come back from the Persian Gulf War, we had to take her up for a dry dock to get repairs. Took it to Portsmouth, and I actually got to see it out of the water. That is something you could not even imagine, seeing that massive thing, what 23 stories tall, out of the water. Unfathomable. I just still like can't believe it.
It's like a mile-wide skyscraper, basically.
Interesting.
That floats.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
How
pretty
much of it is under the water?
Oof. I don't even remember how low she run. It's like I say, when you work flight deck, you don't get to see the rest of the ship.
Right.
You don't hear about nothing.
You're way up top, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That is life right there. As we call the catwalks or hammocks.
Hammocks. All right.
We would just lay
Yeah,
in the catwalks and sleep during flight ops, in between rounds. Just
Hmm.
curl up right there up against the ship on the catwalk and tell your buddy to come out and kick you when it's your turn to get up and go.
Wow.
Yeah, if you want to know how far down the water line is on an aircraft carrier, just ask a bosun mate who's hanging over the side on a 2x12 painting
Right.
while
Skipping.
underway, while moving.
Oh, I think we were all professional paint chippers and repainters, though.
I got to spend 90 to 120, maybe 180 days in deck division before I got to go work in sick bay. And let me tell you right now, bosun mates are the fucking anchor of our Navy. They are outside they call it outside the skin, right? If you're outside the skin of the ship, and that's where you work, you're normally a bosun mate. And there's nothing they don't know about the outside of that ship. They are the badass boys of all the Navy, man. CB's bosun mates. They're awesome. They're badasses. And he was an aviation bosun mate. Now let's throw a flight deck in the whole thing.
Well, I gotta say though, the docks on my ship were the badasses too. Because I can't tell you how many times you're working on that catapult, as dangerous as it was, how many times you have to run down there, hey doc, I messed up, patch me back up, I gotta go. I'll get you right back on your feet, back to work in a few minutes, man. I loved them docs. I had a nice file from them.
If you want to be a good corpsman and keep your skills up, get Bosun mates and CBs in the same party and see what happens.
Hey, so I have a question for an old leg. You know, I mean, I've always been on the ground or on the soil, right? I don't do water like that. I imagine I'd get really sick. I hear a lot of stories. How did you fare as far as sicknesses, and did big rough seas mess with you or anything?
Couldn't even tell she was boogieing. I think there was only one time I felt that ship really move. It's when we had to make an emergency move from down near South America back up towards Florida. We hit a speed that I can't say, but the old girl shook, and that's the only time I ever felt her really move like that and shake. Other than that, like Rosie stayed steady.
Just doesn't even move, huh? That's really cool.
But you adapt. You adapt, though. Like, I think that's why sailors got such a bad look upon and from the past is you never notice it once you've been on a ship. Like I finally figured it out. I was on the flight deck one day. We were doing flight ops, and I'm looking across the bow of the ship at the horizon, and I'm watching the horizon just go like this.
Don't look.
Because we would have to shoot the catapult on the way up to get them off the end, you know.
Right.
And I never really noticed how much, you know, she just kind of did this in the water. But when you come off the ship, get a little, you know, port call, your little legs step on that solid dry land. You get wobble leggy. It looks like you're already drunk.
Wow.
I've feared walking on land more than I did walking on the ship. Like walking on land was weird and awkward. You just adapt. You adapt to the movement of the ship. It's like your internal gyroscope is just keeps you on it. But if you're not on the ship, it's weird.
And fun fact, I don't know if it's because he was on a boat for so long, but I was born immune to seasickness. I don't experience any version of seasickness at all whatsoever. Not even mild discomfort.
Genetically predisposed.
Hell yeah.
Like I'm straight up. I'm immune to the whole like, oh, I'm dizzy. The world is, oh my gosh. It doesn't bother me.
He's always loved the water too. The very first time I took him to the beach, he would just like took right to it like a duck in the water.
I am not afraid to turn green and puke on the ocean. I promise you. I'm not afraid.
It's not for everybody.
All right.
Yeah. I can remember on my ship, it was the smallest ship in the Navy, a destroyer guided missile. And we were just off the coast of San Diego, and I was brand new to the ship. There was no waves at all, guys. It was calm seas. And I'm just doing my work, and I'm kind of looking out, watching, and all of a sudden I start feeling nauseous. And I'm like, what the hell? What is that? And we're just floating soft, barely moving. Barely. Wow, man, I got sicker than a dog. I got seasick so bad, right? And then between Hawaii and the Philippines, we hit a storm. I swear to God, I thought we were going to go down, man. And I'm on a bridge wing on watch in the middle of the night with binoculars tied to a stanchion. Waves just coming onto the folks lower under the bridge. Aircraft carriers don't ever see that.
Yeah,
if you're seeing waves that come over your bridge, your ship's in trouble, buddy.
I've seen the water come up over when we were crossing the Atlantic in rough seas. I mean, Rosie Big Stick, man, she would cut through some water, but still, you're the Mother Ocean. You got to respect her power and force too. You're definitely watching the Earth disappear and reappear with water coming up on the sides a little bit. It's a crazy ride.
It's hard to bury that boat underwater though, because it's just so massive. Like
that ship was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I'm glad I got to be a part of it and be a part of that crew and experience the things that I got to experience, because I got to see wonders of the world, just like they said.
Yeah.
There's memories there that that are priceless. I would never experience unless I had went in the first place.
And that's why Marines don't have their own ships. That's why Marines don't have their own ships. There's no way they can be as badass as a fucking Bos'n mate.
Yeah. I love and respect all my Marine brothers.
Waiting for Brian to kick in.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so
There it is.
So you got on this ship, man. You busted your ass. You learned all the different jobs, right? You learned all the different jobs, and then things happened. Is the best way to say it. Things happened. I know those things are very personal to you. I also know that you can find it on YouTube to hear your story, brother. So the floor is yours to talk about whatever you wish.
Okay. So I got the call. I think it was the day after Christmas. I was visiting with my mom and dad. Got the call that, hey, get back to the ship. We're pulling out. It was 1990 when the Persian Gulf War was just kicking off. So I hopped on my motorcycle and headed back to base. I even got a police escort through North Carolina so we could break the speed limit to get me there in time. Let's see, what was I? 18 years old at the time. I was 18. We were excited, but we were scared. You know, it was nobody knew. You know, like when I signed up in '89 in high school at 17, I didn't have the first thought of, oh, you're going to go to a real war, because I was like, so long. You know, it was been a long time. Didn't think it would happen, but it happened, and that's, I think, the moment my brain clicked and said, it's time to grow up, dude. This is real. So we did exactly what we were trained to do. We pushed. We kept those planes launched, just constant rotation, nonstop. We've gotten calls. We got one call where we had heard they were pinned down just beyond the beach. From what I know, what I understand, we pulled out, moved in closer, parked the Mississippi broadside, turned all her guns to the beach, and then we came in, pulled up behind her, and we started firing all 4 of our catapults, just bombing the beach as Scud missiles were going off, trying to get our boys out of there because they were pinned. So that was a successful mission. But that war, it felt like it would never end sometimes, because it was just day and night, nonstop. Like I said, we didn't even see our berthing area maybe a couple nights out of that whole time we were there. It was, like I said, most of the time we slept on the catwalks. We were sleeping in the green room in between our runs, or when we had to do maintenance or anything. But we got to a point where we couldn't even get chow. They were literally sending us brown bags up from the chow hall just so we could stay on the catapults and keep going. I remember I'd went down, I'd gotten some medicine to help me try to stay awake, because we were pushing just constant day, night. I lost track of days. I didn't even know when it was. You were awake over a week. Yeah, it's weeks on end you'd be awake. But I had an instance where it was nighttime. We were still running bombing sorties. We were still launching like crazy. I forgot what I was doing, but I'd started walking across the deck. And the next thing I know, I felt a hand grab the back of my float coat and yank me backwards. Almost fell down. It was just as a C2 prop went right by my face. He was spinning on the deck. Apparently, I fell asleep walking. My buddy yanked me back just in time to keep my face from getting chopped off. He slapped my cranial and around. He's like, "Hey, what's wrong with you, man?" And I was like, "Dude, I fell asleep. I'm trying my best. I can't stay awake." So he told me, he's like, "Hey, run downstairs, grab a cup of coffee, and then get your ass back up on here. We gotta go." I said, "I can't do that. So I'm in the middle of training Michael." And he said, "Don't worry about it. I got Michael. Just hurry up, make it quick. You catch the next bird, and I'll catch this next one for you." I was like, "Okay." So I ran downstairs, went in my PO's office to grab a quick cup of coffee. He hollered at me and said, "What the hell are you doing here? Who's running holdback?" I told him, I said, "John's got holdback." He said, "What about Michael?" I said, "John's watching Michael do the holdback." We were watching the flight deck monitor because I was watching Michael to make sure, because we were training him to run holdback. And that's where you lock in hydraulic bar between the nose gear of the plane, and then the tail of it locks into the shuttle. And that's what holds that plane back until he gets up to power just enough to make it snap and release, and we hit launch. So Michael went under there. I was watching him on the monitor. He did a good job. He was hooking up a A6 intruder. He did a good job on it, ducked and rolled out like he was supposed to. And the responsibility I had was to check behind him and make sure that it's hooked up right, and then give the thumbs up for the go so they could stretch and lock. John was in a hurry, I guess. And instead of doing the squat down and duck walk underneath, he just leaned his head over to look at it, which put him just close enough to the idle of that intake to pull him in. He looked like a piece of spaghetti in a tornado, the way it contorted and went up in there. Pretty sure at that moment I dropped my coffee and pissed myself and dropped to my knees right there in the office. And we had to shut down everything. My PO screamed at me, told me, he said, "Go change your uniform, get your ass back up there. We got to get the next bird locked in." So I hauled ass. I was trying to get back to the berthing area. I thought, oh my God, John's fish food now. He's fish food. Holy crap. That could have been me. If my little sleepy ass would have fell asleep, and done the same thing, that would have been me. That scared shit out of me. Yeah, it was hard for me to calm down. But I remember I finally made it to my berthing area. I was in the shower, and I'll admit I had to cry my ass off for a bit, because that terrified me. At 18 years old, I was like shocked. But I knew that I also had to go back and do that same job like immediately as soon as I could. So I finally got done in the shower, just trying to keep myself to stop crying, get my ass dressed so I could get back. I hear this voice from behind me said, "Hey man, can you help me dry off?" I was in no mood for no jokes. When I spun around, I was still standing there naked. I spun around. There stood John. He was back from medical. He had bandages around his eyes because he didn't go through, and I didn't know. I had no idea. I thought he was gone. When he went into the intake, he said his forearm hit the center of the turbine, and it bounced and jostled him, and he thought the first thing he could think was to straighten my body out. So he put his feet against one side, his back against the other, just inside the intake, right next to the turbine, and wedged himself in there as tight as he could. Pulled off his goggles, it chewed up his arm, pulled off some of his shirt, foughted the engine out. When it foughted the engine out, the pilot shut that engine down. And he shut it down. John come rolling out and fell out onto the flight deck. He's still alive. I didn't know.
Christ.
When that fool stepped out of the shower behind me, and I turned around and saw him, all them bandages and all bruised up and battered from it. I think that's the first time in my life I ever grabbed another naked man and gave him a big old hug and let him go. I couldn't believe he was standing right there behind me. It scared shit out of me twice. I thought he was dead, and now I'm just like, what?
You thought it was his ghost.
I did.
And kind of a key point there is that John was a bigger dude. He was a lot taller than Dad here.
A lot bigger, a lot wider.
We're a small people. I'm only 5'7". He's only 5'9". We're not very large. John was a large guy. And that weird twist of fate, if it would have been him, he would have been fish food.
Yeah.
Like, actually. But because it was John, he lived.
John stepped
they both
in that
live.
night. He stepped in that night and intervened twice. Twice. That fool kept me from dying that night.
Mm-hmm.
God bless John.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And what's even crazier is this man gets to walk around his whole life and says a jet engine can't even kill me, guys.
Right?
You
He's
know
got
what I
the
mean?
most badass story of all time. I'm sorry, Dad, but
Yeah.
he takes the cake,
Yeah.
all right?
Yeah.
Like,
He's got you. He's got you by a little, Tom.
yeah, just a smidge.
I would say, like, after all that madness, I pushed on. I did my job. Something in my brain just turned off. Like, I don't know what it was, but something in my brain just went turned off. And I don't know. I became more emotionless and just was work. I just dug into my job really hard so that nobody else would have to take my place and do it. Stayed on until it was time to get out.
I hear you, but man, it should have been. It was so much relief to know he was okay. That really had to fill you up with some, oh, thank God stuff, you know?
I'm happy that he was alive. Like that was a miracle if I ever experienced one with my own eyes. I watched him go in myself. And then he comes crawling out like I don't know. It's crazy. Like Jesus stepping out of the cave 3 days later going, "Hey, I'm back."
Mhm.
Right.
It scared the shit out of me.
Wow.
That's amazing. That's what an amazing story, brother.
Do you still talk to John?
No.
No.
I haven't spoken with anybody from my ship since I got out.
Wow.
Now, matter of fact, because of that whole incident, I completely dissociated from the military after I got out. So I got out shortly after the war, and we got her out of Portsmouth. Like it wasn't long after that. I just like, that's it. I'm out. I'm done. Came back home, and every time I would get a job, filling out application where it said military, I would say no.
Wow.
I denied it. I just would. If I saw a veteran coming at me with a hat on, I'd walk around just so I could avoid having a conversation. I didn't want to remember what had happened. Like I suppressed it all down inside of me, and I was like, "No, that didn't happen. I'm just back home, just Tommy. I'm just going to work. I'm just going to make money. I'm just going to raise a family. I'm just going to be a normal person." But the whole time, I didn't realize it was eating at me in the back of my head. You know, almost like that horror movie. It's like death tried to come and get me twice, and it missed. Final destination moment for me. I was like, death's still trying to come and get me. It's pissed. It's pissed that I beat it twice. I was living in fear and had no idea. And finally, what year was that?
2018.
2017, I think.
Or late 2017.
I was working at Toyota. I was working for a dealership. I was in parts department. I had to get up really early for work. And I was getting ready to go have a nighttime smoke, tell the wife good night. And she was like, "Hey, do me a favor and change the channel over for me on your way through because there's a show coming on I want to watch." And I was like, "Okay, no problem." I flipped it over there, and there was a commercial on for a show. And
Fire rescue, police rescue, something like
kind
some
of
911 rescue show.
And there was 8 seconds of that commercial. It uncorked my bottle that I had hidden down in the depths for so long. I saw something that kind of reminded me of what had happened. And
well, no, it was straight up. Somebody got sucked into the intake of an airplane or something.
It was a commercial line.
It was
the
like
guy
a
got
commercial
exploded
airline.
backwards towards it, but it was enough. It was just enough. It brought everything back. And in an instant, I'm hot. I smell the steam, the grease. I can hear the engines whistling. You couldn't have told me I wasn't there. I fought it. I tried to go to work the next day. And I just remember sitting out in the parking lot because we were right on the interstate. Our dealership was on the interstate. And I was sitting there having a cigarette, and every 18-wheeler that would go by on the interstate would turn into a jet and start launching and taking off. And I thought,
wow,
I'm not in a good way. I am not in a good way. I need help. Reached out, Yep, I don't know how I made it home that day. I don't remember driving home, but I made it home. And then I remember my wife taking me to VA hospital over in Tampa. And I guess I was put in an assessment room. I wasn't associated, like I said, to the military, VA, or nothing. But they took me in, they put me in a room and assessed me and sent me home with, I don't know how many bottles of pills.
A couple dozen.
Yeah. It's just a lot of heavy mental meds to sedate me down, basically. Really powerful stuff they had me on. After that, I don't remember a lot. I know that before this happened, I was about 195 pounds, and I was working out religiously every day. I was, stupid as it sounds, it was in my 40s and thought I would try out for Ninja Warrior. So I was pushing myself that limit. I was good. You know, I finally reached like 800 push-ups a day. I was like, I'm coming back. But when my brain broke, next thing I know, I'm waking up after I come out of this fog from all these pills they put me on. He was laying on me, my wife was laying on me, the dog was laying on me, and my whole body was just vibrating on the bed. I could not sit still. It's like having a fish pulled out of water and forcing him to lay down on the dock. That's how it felt. I couldn't stop shaking. The first time I got on a scale, when I was able to get up, I was 122 pounds. I had just melted to nothing. I was just a quivering little stick. I told her, I was like, I don't think these pills are working. I really don't like the way these pills are making me feel. It feels like it's making it worse. And my wife didn't know what to do, but she reached out online and she found a female veteran, Tanya. She's amazing mama bear for veterans. Love that lady. Tanya said, bring him to my house. I'll take care of him. Went over there, met them. I was like, I'm sorry, I have not had any time around veterans, but I appreciate you having me to try to help me out. And they introduced me to cannabis. I smoked a little bit as a teenager in high school and stuff, but never really considered it medicine. She set me down with an e-nail and did some dabs, and I felt myself just intense. And finally, my body relaxed down. And it felt like for the first time in a long time, I could breathe. I could finally be still for a minute. So back then, when Florida was just getting medical marijuana, so we went, got our IDs, got the doctor to okay everything, went to the dispensary, started learning what terpenes were, what cannabinoid system is. And I'm very thankful for my veteran friends then for teaching me, so much, because the dispensaries really didn't know that much then. I learned more from my veteran friends about cannabis than I did from anyone.
Yeah.
Well,
after several months, it's like after several months of, you like RSO seemed to be my friend. And
Right.
That's what they finally got me to, was the level of being able to do RSO. When I got the RSO, that's when I felt the most relief. I thought, oh my God, I can finally talk. I can kind of move around. Hey. And I was finally able to get away from those pills. Once I got off the VA's pills is when I could talk. Yeah. I could communicate again. It was like the pills literally had me just sitting there staring at the walls and drooling. It was ridiculous. Cannabis gave me freedom to exist again. I mean, this is my level of existence, but this is better than the way I was. Like, cannabis has been a miracle in my life.
And Tommy, I want to delve into that more. I want to delve into the VA stuff, how they've either helped or hindered you, how cannabis has changed things, and we're going to talk to Dakota about what it's like to be a caregiver. But before we do that, let's do a quick break. Let's take a deep breath, okay? And speaking of terpenes and cannabinoids, that's a good segue to talk about utopic essential nutrients. At Utopic, we believe in a holistic approach to growing great cannabis. We use the most refined raw materials with zero impurities. Mixed with water makes our plant food immediately available to your plants. Next, we add a proprietary blend of pure liquid plant hormones derived from kelp, specific to the needs of the cannabis plant. This creates massive root growth, an abundance of foliage, insane amount of bud sites, an incredible final product. And that's not all. Let's add some silicates and humates to build strong cells, cell walls, which creates strong stalks and branches to hold the flowers up towards your lights where they belong. Our 5-part lineup stacks up. Don't take my word for it. Join our Facebook group, Utopic Growers. The proof is always in the pudding. UtopicEssentialNutrients.com. Discover our truth. And Brian, take us away, baby.
Join us for Hero Stock, a special event dedicated to honoring our veterans and first responders. Experience a day filled with incredible live music performed by those who served and protected our communities. Connect with our nonprofits dedicated to helping our heroes thrive. Discover the services available to support our veterans and first responders in their journey. Bring the whole family. Kids will love the fun activities designed just for them. Reconnect with your community and celebrate the courage and sacrifice of our heroes at Hero Stock. Join us for a day of music, support, and togetherness. Check us out today on www.herostock.org.
And we're back. Was that a horrible segue or what for a commercial?
No, that was great.
That was great, man.
Speaking of terms,
Excuse me.
well, I'll tell you, I didn't know how to fit that one in. I don't know how well it's going to work, but
It worked out great, man. It did.
all right. So, wow, a lot to unpack there, huh, Tom?
Yeah.
Really awesome story, and everything that you went through, I'd have to say it was normal for the situation, wouldn't you think? I mean, the way you reacted, the way it hit you. I don't know how I would have reacted to something to that, you know, especially when the guy was telling you to go get some coffee and was taking care of you, you know. I could see how that really would put so much regret on you and guilt.
Well, the cat crew was family, like just the individual guys of Cat 4. Like, I don't know how many times, we've held each other when we cried. We helped celebrate each other's lives. They were family to me, and always will be. Always will be. That's how close we all were. How close we had to work. Like, you knew everybody pretty darn intimately. Like,
right. So you got out there. Sooner or later, you got out of the Navy. You went right to work as a civilian. You worked religiously, lots of hours to keep yourself busy. Then you had all of a sudden it all got to you, and you had a snap.
It all came back.
It all came back to you, and there's no running from it, right, Tommy? There's no running from it.
Absolutely not.
Right.
It was a dark place for a while. Very dark place for a while.
You can run, but you can't hide, right? And so, take us from that part through into going into the VA or civilian hospitals, what they did for you, what your medical problems are from that incident, where you're at with that, what meds they put you on, if those worked or not, and then finding cannabis.
I'll give it a go.
Okay.
Let's see. VA ended up sending me to therapy. I did CPT, cognitive processing therapy, 12-week program to help process my thoughts. It was a really, really good therapy. Highly recommend it. It helped me kind of get the questions in my head answered without using emotions, to answer that. Then I went on to cognitive behavioral therapy, which I guess, I can only behave so much with what's going on with me. Doctors just kept throwing pills at me. They couldn't figure out, what was going on with the brain glitches and the movements and stuff. So we came up here to North Florida, and over at Gainesville at the Gainesville VA hospital, had a wonderful lady there that come over. She worked she was a neurologist, movement specialist, and also worked at the Mayo Clinic. She came in. She's like, she said she needed like 10 minutes with me, and she already knew what she was looking at, even though she went in, she run her test. My official diagnosis was FND, functional neurological disorder. It's a pretty big umbrella, but it's holy cow! It's kind of like Parkinson's, Lyme disease, and Tourette's got together and had a baby. That's how it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a baby. Quite a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm left with my two biggest issues, I guess, is I get light seizures. They've gotten a little bit lighter, a little bit better, but it's just basically if my emotions get too high or the situation around me is too intense, my brain overloads and just turns me off, and I go down. I'll start hyperventilating, overheating, sweating profusely, and I just check out. I can't hang in the moment.
So I try to keep everything as chill as possible.
Right. Chill
That's
zone.
the laid back way of my life, embracing the chill. Anytime there's drama around, I'm out. Going out in public's been a challenge.
You've gotten better though.
Yeah. I try to do like the grocery store once a week. He's right beside me, every minute. Use the shopping cart as my rollator, just hang my cane up in there. Hey.
Well, and the head shop, like you've actually gotten pretty friendly with the guy there, Cameron.
Yeah.
He's another veteran that works at our local vape store.
Yeah.
Big grizzly ginger guy, and he looks kind of like a biker almost, but not quite. And like they actually hit it off and have been having conversations the whole time that we're in the store and stuff. So
super nice guy. He was really understanding.
Awesome.
He never looked at me weird one time.
Nope. Not a single moment of judgment from him, because he gets it. And we saw him in the grocery store one time, and he's got like a neurodivergent daughter who's on the spectrum, and it's like, oh, that's what he doesn't. Okay, all right, yep,
yeah, that makes sense. Huh?
Yep,
yeah, that makes sense. So you've got tics, you've got seizures. What else can you say? What else?
His internal gyroscope, basically, his balance is gone. His like proprioception is like almost non-existent most of the time.
Sometimes I'll wake up and it will feel like the earth is just leaning completely to the right. Like it feels like, and with my brain, I'm just going to slide across the room and hit a wall. But I know the world's flat.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm trying to walk and be challenging. Right. It's the same effect, only I'm not used to it now. That's what's happening. The signals in my brain, the neural pathways in my brain, the doctor said basically they got severed. And what I'm in the process of doing my healing is I'm trying to get the new neural pathways made to take the place of the old ones that were there. So that's why now I can talk. In the beginning, how was I? It wasn't talking. I think they said I was doing multiple languages, like that I didn't even know. So my brain was really just reaching for what to do. Like, it gets quite difficult sometimes.
I can only imagine, brother.
So, is there anything specific besides cannabis that you're using or trying to get a hold of for that brain, helping your brain develop
Neurologically,
and
yeah.
redevelop, if you will?
Well, with therapy, physical therapy and talk therapy, that helps restructure. He's constantly with me. So like, as of recently, I've been able to go in the kitchen and actually help prepare food. He got me a set of heat-proof, cut-proof gloves, and then with another mesh cover over it, like shark-proof gloves, so that I could get in there and use a knife and cut up dinner, so without getting injured.
It's like a Kevlar and steel mesh.
Got you. That's cool.
Those little things, him guiding me, helping me, helps me to restructure that. If I keep repeating and doing, it just takes practice.
And I've been trying to get him to do more video gaming because that actually does help with the neurological functions and capacities and stuff like that. And pretty much every night we've been getting in at least 2 to 4 hours of good gaming time with me, him, our cousin in Alabama, our veteran friend that lives in the neighborhood.
Love you, Lewis.
Yep. Much love to Luis Rios, man. He's the dog.
It's my brother.
So you think that mental doing stuff with the games and the hand-eye coordination and the having to think through problem solving in the game is
critical thinking,
slowly connecting those neurons again?
Yep. I mean, I'm on a headset talking with them, and like I get completely lost in some games, and I get frustrated and I get down, and they're like, nope, they won't let me do it. They guide me through. They help me every little step of the way, no matter how long it takes. They're always patient with me, keeping the humor up, and I overcome. I managed to find ways to overcome.
I will, if I have to, I will quite literally back my truck up to the front of his, attach my winch, pull it up to where there's only that much room, and I'll just pull him the whole way if I got to.
Nice.
So in life, so in games, huh, guys?
Yeah.
Cannabis the whole time. I found there's been a few of the sativa strains that kind of help slow my brain down so that it's not going too fast. And I found the terpenes and do seems to really slow down the seizure activity that's happening with my brain.
Yep.
Okay.
So I literally stay medicated from the time I'm awake to right before I put my head on the pillow, like always there. Flour, edibles, RSOs, pretty much any of it. And as long as I'm getting the terpenes I need, it seems like it helps me to where I got something of a life now and can somewhat function and even make some good friends.
Mm-hmm. So prior to cannabis, not a whole lot of function.
No,
could not.
No,
with cannabis improvements in function.
Yeah, before cannabis, him sitting here at night with a headset on, having a conversation and playing a video game at the same time, impossible, completely impossible. That 0% chance.
Yeah, he does it all the time now.
Yeah, yeah. Now it's a daily activity.
Nice.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, man.
As I get these little things, it helps, rebuild those neural pathways. Some people have turned me on to mushrooms, and they were like, hey, there's, at least 4 really good ones out there that actually will literally help build that back, like lion's mane, cordyceps.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to experience that, and I said that I had some positive experiences with that. And then moved on and tried some other mushrooms, and that seems to have helped my brain out quite a bit also. Because
I have some information, and I saw this video of real high level mushroom guy. He knows everything about mushrooms. And he was talking about psilocybin, lion's mane, and niacin. And the combination between the three are helping repair neural pathways. And I'd like to find that video and get it to you if you haven't seen it.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Thank you.
I think it just fits. It absolutely fits. This is exactly what they've been trying to accomplish. And so I'm going to look for that for you.
Awesome. That sounds good.
Right on.
The other thing.
Go
sorry.
ahead, brother.
I was going to say the other thing, his stomach hates it, but I know it's good for his brain. Fish oil. I actually upgraded him from normal fish oil to Antarctic krill oil because it's less fishy and a little bit better for you. But it still eats his stomach up. It still bothers the hell out of him.
I'm just not a fish guy.
But that's the other thing that I am trying, because I know that will actually help.
Yeah. So here we are now. So when I was in the Navy and I was teaching, they whenever you picked up a new class, it was called going on the stick, meaning the podium. You're gonna go on a stick. So Dakota, you're going on a stick.
All right, fair enough.
You've been there with your father through thick and thin, brother. You are a caregiver, pure and pure through. So tell us what it's like, how you got trapped into all this to take care of Pops. What's it like for you on a daily basis to care for your father, brother?
So in the very beginning, when he had his break, I was going through a really emotional, rough breakup that was really bad and destructive and took away all of my friends and got my apartment broken into 2 weeks later, had everything that I owned stolen, had to move back in with mom and dad. Obviously I was kind of in a bad place mentally. I was very depressed and not really present for a couple of years. I was just going to work, coming home, smoking out, going to bed, going to work, just rinse, repeat to keep myself busy. Then COVID happened. So I was a pizza delivery guy and I worked at a gas station. Both of those jobs, interacting with cash money, interacting with people face to face, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. He's got a compromised immune system, and it would be extremely irresponsible of me to go work in public, catch COVID, transmit it to him, and then get him sick and potentially die.
I'm allergic to antibiotics. That's the problem. Every antibiotic I've ever tried breaks me out in a hive, swells me up, and makes breathing difficult. So I can't get sick.
Right. So because he can't get sick, I was responsible and told both my jobs, like, I think it was March 20th or March 15th of 2020.
2020?
Yeah. Like right when the outbreak started in that February, March time, I just kind of went to both my jobs and I was like, no 2 weeks. I'm out. Sorry.
No 2 weeks.
Right. And both of them were kind of like, yeah, we get it. It's like a national tragedy, disaster thing. Like, we understand. So from that point on, I stayed at home, took care of them, did the grocery shopping, and did like biohazard wipe downs of everything coming into the house. And, I just tried to be safe and responsible and make sure that they had what they needed. And I was just trying to keep myself entertained and occupied. Right. Then late or middle of 2020, we moved here. So that kind of forced me to get present again. Then shortly after we moved here, we went out to eat at a fish place and I got food poisoning, but it lasted for 9 months.
Oh, damn.
So I was like horrendously sick every single day for nearly a year. Tried to go and get a job at Walmart. I was still too sick. Got fired because I got too many absences because I was just too sick to do it.
Hamburgers, Bob.
And then that Christmas 2022, I think it was, Mom basically came to me with a letter and said, hey, here's basically a proposal. You want to be his caregiver and actually take care of him and work at that, and like, we'll pay you for it, blah, blah, blah. So I did that for a while. And then eventually we found out, oh, the VA will pay me for being a caregiver. Okay. So went through that process. And then right after we got done with that, Mom just had like the full,
Hamburgers.
mental breakdown, and we kind of lost her a bit. And just things got so crazy at the house between everything that, we ended up going through the whole divorce situation. And that's when I really had to step up and take over like really full-time caregiving.
I was having upwards of 24 seizures and more per day. Like I was getting to a point where I couldn't function again.
Yeah, it was becoming unlivable for him, and frankly for me, it was I was getting eaten alive just watching everything unfold. So I just couldn't take it anymore. And at a certain point, there was a breaking point, and then separation, then divorce. But ever since that breaking point moment, I've really had to be here like 24/7. And now it's been, 2 years or so that I've really been side by side with him all the time.
2 full
I've gotten
years.
used to it.
It's gone as far as, you have to come in and help me with my showers. He's had to help me get into bed. The days when my brain is really not firing good, I have my wheelchair in there, and he'll come in, raise up the bed, help me get into the wheelchair so I can still move around the house. Like it's a lot to ask of another human being, I feel like.
But you wiped my ass for over like a year or whatever when I was a baby. So
that's the importance of being a good dad.
2 years, so.
It's the importance of being a good father. Like, growing up, I taught him, you didn't like it, but you got to cook, you got to clean, you got to be able to take care of yourself. Like I made sure I instilled all that in him as a dad. And
I like cooking, and most cleaning doesn't bother me. I just really hate doing dishes by hand. But we've got a dishwasher now, so it's like, hey, who cares? Whatever. All the rest of it, I don't really care.
He's everything, though. Literally, he's my interpreter. He handles my accounts and pays my bills for me. He cooks all my meals. He keeps the house clean. Shuttles me to every appointment. Makes sure that I get outside to have daylight. Make sure I have stuff for my little hobbies that I have. Like it, he's amazing as a caregiver. He's been doing a great job. Man.
I tell people I'm, a personal chef, private driver. I'm a
private weed roller,
a housekeeper. Yeah, I'm a bud tender. I'm everything. But that doesn't bother me, because the jobs that I had before, I worked at a gas station for 3 years. That was like 2 blocks away from like the ghetto. Like I saw a lot there. I saw things that I don't think that I should say on the internet. You know what I mean?
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So let me ask you this, Dakota. Let me ask you this question. Here's a toughie, because Dad's sitting right here. And as a corpsman, I can understand this question. I hope you will too. What is the coolest thing about taking care of your dad, and what's the toughest part about taking care?
Oh, that is such an easy question. I get asked that a lot. Yeah,
okay.
I have to answer this all the time. The best part of my job is that I get to spend all day, every day, with my favorite human being on planet Earth. That is a job benefit that not very many people get to have. That's pretty rare, unless you're working on like your favorite podcast or something like that, and you get to work with your idol all day, right?
Yeah.
That's the only other situation I can think where you would literally get to spend all day, every day with your favorite person. The worst part of my job you're prepared for this one.
Yeah.
Having to
The
hang out
VA.
with your favorite person.
No. The worst part of my job is dealing with the VA, frankly.
Oh, well, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
as a new caregiver and my fiduciary who has to handle my accounts because I'm 100% PNT. The 100% is on the mental status. So I have to have somebody who handles all my money for me. I'm not allowed to mess with it. So with that situation now, the way it is, him being my new caregiver for a while, the VA makes him account every year for every single penny that's spent from my account. It has to be accounted for to make sure that the veteran's being taken care of and the money isn't being lost or squandered.
But it's not just the finance stuff. Like, yeah, they've got their rules and stipulations and restrictions and whatever, and that makes my job a lot harder because I can't get cash out of the main account. But that's okay. That's okay. I can deal with that. What I don't really like dealing with is when the VA decides that they don't want to do their jobs. That part kind of gets me.
Yeah, I can see that.
He has to be an advocate for me. Like, that's one thing we found with the VA is you have to really advocate for yourself a lot, be the squeaky wheel,
Yeah.
or they're not going to hear you.
Basically, I'll just give you a real quick example. We've been trying to get him massage therapy for a while. We did successfully get him massage therapy. I'm trying to get it re-upped or, reestablished so we can get more visits with it. So I've been calling, and then finally we had an appointment with his whole health coach who basically told us, oh yeah, no, they saw that you called, and then the doctor who originally approved the massage therapy came back and said, oh, I can't approve massage therapy for this patient because he hasn't done the 2 things that are required in the last 18 months. But she's also the same person who signed the thing 6 months ago that said he did the things, the 2 things within those 6 months. And it's like, well, how did you forget that he did it within the last 18 months when you're the person who approved it?
Should be in his record that says he did it.
It should be literally right there.
Came back with it's not my responsibility. Ask someone else.
Right. And it's like, you are the person
really?
who approves it.
Yep.
Oh, really?
So that kind of thing is the worst part of my job.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I can see that.
Well, I can.
Well,
see that.
one thing I wanted to tell you, Dakota, personally, what you do for your dad, and your hero, I personally can appreciate it. My wife is basically my caregiver. She does a lot for me as well. And you guys don't get talked about enough. Not a lot of people get to hear behind the scenes. And I have been talking about the caregivers for quite some time, the spouses and caregivers, which spouses generally tend to be caregivers, except for in your situation. But you guys just get overlooked, the veteran. But I'm telling you, I put most of my well-being on my wife's shoulders. It's because of her is why I'm here. And Tommy, just like what you said, I felt that deeply, bro. I really did. And I appreciate you guys sharing that stuff. So
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dakota, for manning up and being that dude. Okay. Thank you.
No, I appreciate it. I do. But I mean, like I said before we started filming, I'm just doing what's morally right and being a good son. I mean, at the end of the day, that's really all it is. That's what it boils down to,
Amen.
It's nothing special. It's nothing special. Everybody should do the right thing.
It's proven to be special, though. That's what I'm saying. It is proven that you are very special for what you do. Not a lot of people are willing to go through the gambit like you are. And so thank you and keep up the good work, brother.
Whether it's your father or not, it's a selfless thing. Yep. You can be doing all kinds of other shit. You're a young man, bro.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you said, you know what? No, my dad is my favorite fucking person. Yep. And I'm going to help him get through this and get him to as good as we can get him.
That's the part that got me is like at his age, he's basically just like, can't do relationships, can't do work. I'm his life. And I'm like, I feel like that's a major sacrifice to ask,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I'll just be blunt though. I was in such a deep depressive state after that breakup when I was 21 that I wasn't really gonna do much of anything like fancy or fun or anything like that, regardless, just because of the state that I was in. But when the necessity of your situation came up and, you know, mom wasn't doing her job taking care of you and I had to step in and do that, that gave me purpose. That renewed my lease on life. That helped me get over my depression and get out of my fog. So this was beneficial for both of us.
Well, I know you don't need to hear this, brother, but from all of your dad's buddies, thank you for taking care of our brother.
Yes.
Hey, it's no problem. It is no, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you and all of your buddies and all of his new buddies that he's been able to make in the last year for taking care of him. You got, I mean, seriously, like mentally and like psychologically and emotionally and socially, you guys have been invaluable. Like, you help him just as much as I do. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
Well, no problem, man. When I talk to your pops before I go to bed at night, I go to bed, I wake up the next day thankful for my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
That's the way I see life every day. Every day I wake up and open my eyes, I go, hey, it's another miracle. I'm still here. One more day. Let me make a difference. Let me do something. It's like I should have been gone a long time ago. But John stepped in and he said, nah, you got a purpose.
And honestly, for me, hearing that story is kind of weird, because if that would have happened that way, I wouldn't exist. Frank, I wouldn't have ever even been a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really bizarre for me to sit here and listen to that kind of thing, you know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, when I was a Navy corpsman, I took a pledge. And then when I became a Navy instructor, corpsman instructor, I used to, when my kids would graduate from corpsman school, they had to take the pledge, just like me. And I got to recite that pledge with them and lead them in the recitement of it.
Nice.
And I was wondering if you would like to be an honorary corpsman effective today.
I would accept that with honor.
All right, then raise your right hand and say after me. I solemnly pledge myself.
I solemnly pledge myself.
Before these witnesses.
Before these witnesses.
To practice faithfully.
To practice faithfully.
All of my duties.
All of my duties.
As a member of the hospital corps.
As a member of the hospital corps.
I hold the care of my father.
I hold the care of my father.
To be a privilege and a sacred trust.
To be a privilege and a sacred trust.
And I will assist his healthcare professionals.
And I will assist his healthcare professionals.
With loyalty and honesty.
With loyalty and honesty.
I will not knowingly permit harm.
I will not knowingly commit harm.
To come to anyone I care for.
To come to anybody that I care for.
I will not partake of.
I will not partake of.
Nor administer any unauthorized medication.
Nor administer any unauthorized medication.
I will hold all personal matters.
I will hold all personal matters.
Pertaining to the private life.
Pertaining to the private life.
Of my dad.
Of my dad.
In strict confidence.
In strict confidence.
I dedicate my heart, mind, and strength.
I dedicate my heart, mind, and strength.
To the work before me.
To the work before me.
I shall do all within my power.
I shall do all within my power.
To show in myself.
To show in myself.
An example of all that is honorable and good.
An example of all that is honorable and good.
throughout my caregiving life.
Throughout my caregiving life.
You, sir, are an honorary United States Navy Corpsman.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
I will have this
that is an
typed
honor.
up. I'll have this typed up. I'm going to send it to you. Hang it on your wall, and it's for you, brother. Just my little piece of appreciation for what you're doing for
That's really awesome. Thank you so much. That is really cool.
You just joined the ranks of tons of badasses, bro. Welcome.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome,
you.
man. Cool.
Did not expect that one.
Well, I've been planning it for what, Tommy? A half a year?
Right.
Or something.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, my ticks didn't give it away, so we got lucky.
No, I had no idea.
Yeah.
That
Tommy,
was a surprise.
Honorary Corpsman.
Hell yeah.
Well, welcome to the team, brother.
Hey, thank you. Bottom of my heart, thank you. I appreciate that.
That's how much your dad's buddies appreciate you.
Yeah.
That's just really cool.
So I've got another question, Tommy, just for you.
Yeah, I'm single.
Now that I'm working on it, trust me, I'm married.
Oh Lord.
Just kidding. That reminds me of a guy in the bar goes, he just met this girl that night, and I met him. And he goes, hey, I'd like you to meet so and so, my future ex.
Oh Lord.
Tommy, now that you are doing so much better in your life, so much stronger, mentally stronger, physically stronger, have you ever thought about trying to find your boy John?
I'm not quite there yet.
Okay.
I mean, I love John, and I feel like I literally owe him my life twice over. But I'm still going through exposure therapy. It's another part of living here. A friend of mine, Lewis, lives right across the way here. Could be here in a heartbeat if I need him.
Yeah.
But we're really close to NAS Jacks. And every time I hear a jet engine flying over the house, it used to send me into a full panic. And now I'm just kind of sitting there and just smoking my way through with, using my cannabis and just sitting and listening, I'm trying to be okay with it. I'm still progressing up to getting closer to things, like going on base has been impossible because they have the old Blue Angels F-18s mounted on a post outside of every gate. And I can't get myself physically that close to it without panicking yet. So I'm still working my way up to.
Do you feel that there's any unfinished business with you and John?
Oh God, I've thought about seeing him before. It's like what it would be like. I was like, I'd probably just be completely speechless. I just want to hold the guy again, make sure he's still there and alive, Yeah. But I definitely owe him my life twice over. He was my angel that night. I wouldn't be here sitting with a beautiful son and having all these wonderful new friends of mine if it weren't for him stepping in that night. It was a miracle. I was like, I must have a purpose. Must be a reason. So that's why I've been trying to show other veterans that, like, no matter how rough it might seem, no matter how rough it feels, like you got it, like, don't give up. Like I could easily give up, but I ain't about to. I'd rather stand up and cheer my brothers on, it's like encourage them, like keep pushing, keep going. Don't stop.
And I won't let you give up.
Oh yeah.
So there's that.
And honestly, just your presence, and I'm just speaking from personal experience, just getting on a chat, just kind of like what we got going on here, listening to you talk, you never said that, you didn't say any of the things that you're saying today. And I felt exactly what you just said, your encouragement to keep going. Like it can always be worse, kind of a, mentality.
There's always a bright side.
Weird to explain, but I could feel that through the phone. And so that encouraged me to be like, well, get off your ass, man. Get off your ass and go forward. make another step forward.
What's your excuse?
I can tell you what, I could
His-
easily every day when I get up, I could easily just slide into that wheelchair.
Yep.
And just wheel myself around the house and be miserable. But I choose every day to be the best that I can and push as hard as I can. I stay out of it. It's there if I need it, but I stay the hell out of it, and I just keep pushing myself. And if I get feeling weak, he's right there under my wing to help me keep pushing along.
Hell yeah.
That's a hell of a message for other veterans to hear, man. Right there.
Never give up. Don't ever give up.
Come on, let's go. Come with us. Let's do it.
And if there's any caregivers out there that happen to hear my words right now, you can't give up on your veteran. You can't. Especially on the days that they're down and they want to give up. Those are the days when you have to push the hardest as a caregiver. And you have to be there. And you have to encourage them. And you have to help them. You can't be judgmental about it. You just have to do it. That's the bottom line, guys.
That's a doc right there, man.
Yeah.
That's a doc right there.
Yep.
An honorary corpsman.
Hell yeah.
Very cool, brother. So any last thoughts, guys?
Man.
Thank you.
I appreciate you guys.
That's my last thought. Thank you guys for coming on today.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful for being able to meet each of y'all. Like everybody from VCC, they're the misfits. Like all of y'all taking me in without judgment. It's just been amazing to be able to come back into the brotherhood and be embraced like that. Like, I thank you very much. And I love you all. You're all my family too. That goes for me too.
Absolute pleasure having you around us, Tommy. And that's what we've been trying to tell you. Understand that, you sit up here for me, man. I appreciate you, and keep on moving on, brother.
And I want to remind all veterans, all people who ever get to see this video someday, the courage that it takes for Tommy to be here today to do this with us.
Yeah, is
insanely inspiring. And if Tommy can do it, you can do it.
Amen.
Thank you guys for being with us today. Tommy, I love you, brother.
Absolute pleasure, honor, and a pleasure. Both of you. Thank you very much for having me.
You too, Dakota. We appreciate you, man.
Dakota, you're a good man, brother.
Yep.
You ever need to talk to another caregiver, just give me a call, bro. I do it every day.
Yep. Reach out.
All right. Man. Sounds good. Right. Sounds good.
Thank you, guys.
No, thank you. Stay strong, guys.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.